In today's video, you will see me take an early morning walk. A couple of hares watch me carefully, and I fail miserably at flying my drone. Plus, I make a big announcement at the end of the video. This is my overnight mooring at Foxton Locks. Not a bad night's sleep. The bridge here at Foxton has got what's called a turnover bridge. This enabled the horse-drawn boats to be able to keep the horses tied to the boats. As they cross the canal onto the other side. As you can see, this short arm of the canal is overgrown, hence it's no longer in use. It is actually, this canal leads to the inclined plane that enabled boats to be lifted up in troughs up to the canal. This is quite hard to read, but it gives you an idea that all of this area, all of the canals, were dug out by hand. This one looks like it's from 1893 to 1900 that this section of the canals was completed. And this is the end of the short arm. I suppose a problem with having boats moored down here is turning them around, which you can't unless you're a very short boat, or they'd have to reverse back out all the way back to the main canal, and there's a turning point there. The Foxton Inclined Plane was a boat lift designed to bypass the Foxton Locks, a set of staircase locks on the Grand Union Canal. It increased boat traffic and enabled wider boats to navigate the canal, which the narrow locks had previously limited. The plane was built in 1900, with a test version built beforehand by Gordon Cale Thomas, who designed it. It used two large caissons, which were counterbalanced by the weight of the water and boats, powered by a 25 horsepower steam engine. It could move two boats up, two down in about 12 minutes, compared to over an hour for the locks. Despite its potential, the plane was mothballed in 1911 due to high running costs and the fact that the Watford locks, which were intended to be widened to accommodate wider boats, were never completed. The plane was eventually dismantled and sold for scrap in 1928. In the 2000s, a restoration project was undertaken to clear the incline and restore the canal arm, with the site now recognised as a scheduled ancient monument. If you'd like a more detailed history of Foxton Inclined Plane, please click on the link in the more information below. This is a plaque from the viewing point of the inclined plane. Let me just show you what it looks like from here. Quite incredible. Just see a boat at the bottom there, obviously not coming up in the lift because the lift is no longer in use. You can see down the bottom there, that's where the boats used to get put in the troughs. And you can still see the tracks of where the boats would have been winched up. I'm not sure what the method was. But all the way up to the top. Looks like they could do several boats at a time. There's a bit of wildlife around here. A large hare. And another one over there. Just looking at me. This is another view from the top. And this is the type of boat that would have been lifted up in the troughs, full of cargo. And just behind me is the end of that canal arm that I just showed you. So all of this would have been open and they would have just gone straight onto that canal and carried on. In the next couple of shots you will see me trying to use my drone for the first time to get some really nice shots of Foxton Locks, and of course I fail miserably. I think plenty more practice is needed before I can get some decent shots. I will be doing that, and hopefully in the near future I'll be able to show you some. Hello and welcome back to Cooking on the Cut. Today it's a swelter in here. Temperature's just climbed over 30 degrees inside the boat, and I believe it's pretty much that outside as well. So I've had to put the butter back in the fridge, although I have got some out ready for this recipe. So what am I doing today? I'm going to make you some chocolate chip muffins, and let me show you the ingredients. I'm going to be doing something slightly different today, mainly because I haven't got one of my ingredients, so I thought I'd just try something a bit different. Let's see how it goes. And we start here with 100 grams of sugar, 56 grams of unsalted butter. I've got 6 muffin cases, 1 large egg, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, 1/4 teaspoon of salt. It's 120 grams of plain flour. I've got 100 grams of chocolate chunks. Now these ones are actually meant for baking, as you can see from the packet next to it. That means that they will hold their shape. You can use milk chocolate, but it does tend to sort of just melt and then melt into the muffin itself. It doesn't hold its shape. And for the ingredient that I was missing, I was actually going to put in some vanilla essence. I haven't got that, so what I'm actually going to use, don't know how it's going to work, hopefully it'll be good. These are actually coffee granules, just a small pinch of them. I'm going to add a teaspoon of water to that so it becomes liquid, and I'll pour that into the mixture. And you will also need a 1/4 cup of milk, or 56 grams. Right, these amounts that I've quoted you are for making 6 muffins, so if you want to make 12, all you have to do is double up all the ingredients. So what we're going to do first, I've already put the sugar and the butter, softened butter, in the bowl, and we have to mix that together until it all combines. So you can see that's nicely combined. It's gone slightly whiter. That's with the sugar mixed in with the butter. Alright, next we have to add the eggs. Now if you're doing 12 muffins, add 1 egg at a time, beat it, add the other egg, beat it again. So we just do the 1 egg first of all. We're only doing 6 muffins. Now you can obviously use a hand whisk to do all of this, but I'd always find it easier with gadgets, as you know. Okay, it's nicely mixed, as you can see. Next we're going to add the baking powder, the salt, and what would be the vanilla if we were going to use it, but as I said, I'm going to be using just a few grains of coffee in a little bit of water. Just chuck that in. I'm just going to pour that in. Now don't worry, the coffee will not overpower the flavour, but it will add a little bit of depth. Coffee is used in some recipes that involve chocolate, so this should work really well. Okay, that's mixed in nicely. Now we get the flour and the milk. What we want to do is to put a tablespoon of flour in, a little bit of milk, beat it, flour, milk, beat it, and so on. So let's start with putting a bit of flour in. And a touch of milk. Now a lot of recipes that I've looked at, they tend to get you to fold the flour into the mixture. I've found that you get a far better and softer texture if you beat it with a whisk. So if you just fold it in, I think it tends to be a bit grainy, a bit granular. And I prefer mine sort of quite light and soft. Mixing really well. That's the last of the flour and the last of the milk. Right, that's nicely mixed now. I made sure that all the granules have disappeared. Before I add the final ingredient of the chocolate chunks, I'm going to put the oven on, which I should have done already. And the oven needs to be gas mark 5, 375 Fahrenheit, or 190 centigrade. Right, now it's time to add the chocolate chunks. I'm going to chuck them all in, if they all come out. There's quite a lot in there, so what we need to do is to actually distribute them. So you're not trying to mix them in, we're just trying to fold them in this time, just so that they evenly distribute throughout the mixture. So I'm just sort of turning it over and mixing it in, because ideally you want the same amount of chocolate chips in each muffin, of course. I think that will do for that. So I'll get my baking tray. It's better to use a baking tray like this because it will hold the cases that you've got in the better shape once you fill them. I have to fill those cases evenly with the amount of mixture in each one. Hopefully trying to get it all in there rather than outside. Obviously you won't know exactly how much, so I put slightly less in each one. Then we can top it up individually, just to even them out. Go around again. You might find that you've got enough mixture to make a 7th one, which is fine if you don't want them to spread out too much once they actually start cooking, because they will rise very much from here. I don't think I've got enough to do a 7th one, so I'm just going to even out between them and let them spill over. You don't have to worry about making it too neat, as they will melt down as it heats up in the oven. Any that you've spilt around the edges, just wipe them off because they will just burn. Right, there we go, we've got the 6 muffins ready. Now some recipes call for you to put like granulated sugar on top. I prefer them not to. You can obviously put some in if you prefer that, because what I'm trying to do is get it as close as possible to the supermarket bought muffins, which I absolutely adore. Right, just going to check the oven. Once that's the temperature, I'll put these in there. Alright, that's the oven more or less up to temperature, so I'm going to put the muffins in. Just going to put them on the bottom shelf. And close that up. They've got to be in there for between 25 and 30 minutes, or the top has gone a little bit golden. Right, the muffins have had just over half an hour or so, heading towards 35 minutes. So I'm just going to take them out and let's have a look. Yeah, they look good. Now what we've got to do now is just check that they're actually cooked all the way through. Normally I'd use a skewer, but I haven't got one. So let's try with a knife. What you want to do is to get that to come out nice and clean, and that does. So that tells me they're cooked. Just a bit of melted chocolate on there. So now we just need to let them cool down just a little bit, and then we're going to take them out, put them on a wire rack for them to cool. I'm just going to take them out of the baking dish. You'll have noticed they've spilled out over the edge, which is fine. But what I think I should have done is to perhaps make it into 7 muffins rather than the 6, otherwise it wouldn't have spilt so much over the edge. Slightly sticking there, but that's fine, it comes out nice. There you go. So we just need to let them cool down, then they just firm up a little bit. Once they cool, we can then try them, see how they are. Right, they've cooled down now. I'm about to take the casing off and then break one open so you can see what it looks like. They have gone a little bit flat. By that I mean that it's not as high as I would normally have, and I think that's purely down to the ambient temperature. It's about 31, 32 at the moment, and that has the effect of melting the butter and making it collapse a little bit. So let's just pull this off. It should come off nice and easy. Let's move them out of the way. It could probably do with cooling down in the fridge, to be honest, with it being so warm. As you can see, those chocolate chips have held their shape nicely. Right, if I just break one open, then you can see what it looks like inside. Beautiful. There you go. Nice texture. Chocolate chips have held the shape. Let me just try it for you. I wish you could try it, but you're not here, so I'm going to. Ha. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that's really good. Taste, it's soft, moist. To cut a long story short, they're yum. Sorry about the red face, but it is really very warm inside the boat. I just want to add, after the delicious chocolate chip muffins, I'm actually going to be setting up a new channel just dedicated to cooking. It's going to be called Cooking on the Cut. It's not launched just yet, but watch out for that very soon. I'll announce it on this channel, hopefully in the next week, maybe 2 weeks tops. So please look out for that. I've also just set up Buy Me a Coffee, which I'm hoping to put a link at the end of this video. Plus you can also find that link on my front page where you looked at the videos. So if you feel like you would like to support me, please just click on that link. Anything would be fantastic. I really want to grow my channel. Please join me on my journey by subscribing to Red One Afloat. Thank you, and see you soon.